For what?
Just, I heard Biden.
Police put on a low priority. This because it was not high priority time. No one has physically seen anything, just suspicion, so you don't want to rush to a scene like that.
Moments later, a more urgent call comes in.
Hello, 911. Man, where are you at? Where are you at?
He gives the address. It's the same as the first call.
What's going on?
My girl just came and my girl's bleeding to death. Please! Tina, please, keep moving, Tina. Keep moving, Tina. Tina, keep moving, Tina. Oh, Lord. Yeah, somebody call her.
Okay, we've already got police and ambulance on the way.
Now, it's concrete, you know you really got something, so now we got to step it up because someone's in danger. It's time to roll.
When the officers arrive, the male caller meets them outside. He identifies himself as Casey Anuna.
He was very distressed and was screaming for help.
I was like, man, someone stabbed my girlfriend, her apartment number.
One of the officers spots a woman ducked behind a row of cars. Then she takes off running.
You're just thinking maybe she done did something or something's going on because now you don't know.
Officer Brown was able to catch up. He sat her down on the parking lot and began asking her questions. And she immediately just responded that her roommate had been in a fight, was injured, possibly dead, and that she didn't know anything else that was going on.
KC shows a second officer to the apartment.
Officer Christy English ran inside of the apartment to check on the victim and immediately try to start giving her CPR and helping her. She had been stabbed right above the heart in the chest, and she had several other cuts in her upper torso area.
Casey identifies the victim as his girlfriend, 21-year-old Tina Stewart.
I know she's a fighter. That's one thing I knew. And sometimes, you know, they tell you pray. So I'm telling God, like, you know, make it happen.
Clantina Tina Stewart was born October 17, 1989, and raised in Memphis, Tennessee.
She was a tough little girl growing up, and that toughness carried her onto the basketball court.
She was a extremely great high school athlete, starting in the 10th grade, 11th grade.
She kind of came in late to the scene, like the basketball scene. Even though she was older than me, I still had been playing longer than her. But when she came, she was a force. Like, it was crazy. She came out of nowhere.
My senior year, you know, she was, you know, one of the top guards in Memphis. And if you're one of the top guards in Memphis, you're one of the top guards in the state. And which, you know, got her a scholarship to one of the best programs in Tennessee.
In the summer of 2008, Tina headed to Murfreesboro to begin training at Middle Tennessee State University.
The men's basketball team was in the weight room. We were lifting, working hard, and then I remember the girls' basketball team came in. You're trying to see who the new girls there, who's new on campus, and things like that. So, I mean, that's where I first initially saw Tina Stewart.
He's a basketball player for MTSU, just like Tina. They hit it off from the beginning.
We both had a passion for the same things. So, and it's kind of rare where you have a person who can share the same things.
She was a free spirit, you know? She wasn't too much, it was kind of hard to tie her down. But he gave her a little balance, because he wasn't gonna be all over the place, and she wanted to be wherever he was.
This love that we had in college, you know, it was, you know, it was genuine. I would say that, definitely genuine.
After 2 years of living on campus, Tina moved into an off-campus apartment. She was paired with a roommate, 18-year-old Shantarika Madden.
Shanterica was a good student, very studious. She had straight A's throughout high school. She had a full academic scholarship because she had worked so hard as a student. They probably looked at the background that they were both from Memphis and thought, you know, this is probably going to be a good match.
Shanterica knew of Tina because she was, popular basketball, popular staple in the community as far as sports. But Tina didn't know who she was.
When it came to personality, Tina and Shanterica were opposites.
Shanterica Madden is a very sheltered, quiet, withdrawn, introverted mouse of a person. She is not someone who walks in a room and you just immediately gravitate toward, which is the exact opposite of Tina.
Tina, she had tons of friends, very outgoing person. A lot of people loved her.
After living together for a few months, the roommates discovered more differences.
Tina was really clean.
You could tell that Shanterica didn't have a lot of life experience. Like she didn't know how to, clean up a kitchen and maintain cleanliness. She was very sheltered at home.
Shanterica's housekeeping irritated Tina. But it was KC that bothered Shanterica.
Shanterica and Tina had disagreements about Tina's boyfriend, Casey Anuna, staying over.
That was a shocker because when I was over there, I was never in the areas long periods of time or, I was always trying to, I'm in the room or I'm gone, I'm out of the apartment. I wasn't trying to be in the same space as them because I understand that, this is not where I stay.
Despite the friction, Tina kept her focus on her studies and basketball.
In the spring, the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders were scheduled to play in the Sun Belt Conference women's basketball tournament.
But just 3 days before the tournament begins, KC calls 911 to report that Tina has been stabbed. Paramedics arrive.
They started doing CPR on her immediately, even though they could tell she's injured pretty bad.
As paramedics load Tina onto a stretcher, KC goes back outside to speak with police in the parking lot.
I saw the stretcher come down. I'm just like, man, I'm praying even harder now in my mind.
Police begin to establish who's who.
You got a young lady was laying there in a pool of blood.
Casey Anuna is the young man who made the call. The woman who is running from the police is Shanterica Madden.
They had no idea who she was or how she was involved.
At the beginning of an investigation, everybody is going to be a suspect.
Shortly after 7 p.m. on March 2nd, 2011, detectives with the Murfreesboro Police Department are investigating the brutal attack on college basketball star Tina Stewart.
She had a pulse, maybe a faint pulse, and they're going to keep working on her.
Tina's boyfriend, KC, and roommate, Shanterica, are on the scene when investigators get an update on her condition. They learn that shortly after Tina arrived in the ER, she succumbed to her injuries.
She was pronounced dead at the hospital.
Tina was stabbed from the front and the back. So the wound that was right above her heart is what killed her. She bled from that because it nicked some sort of artery.
The lady, the police officer, she's like, she didn't make it. I just broke down.
Both KC and Shanterica are escorted to the station.
They take me downtown. She been taken in for questioning.
You want to separate the two and get separate statements from each person. That way you can tell what's going on, who's telling the truth.
Detectives go inside Tina's bedroom, where the attack took place.
The blood was along the wall, there was blood on the floor, on the bed. It was a very messy crime scene. This was a very violent attack.
But investigators are unable to locate what caused Tina's injuries.
You're looking for any kind of weapons. You got no weapon at this time.
They spot something suspicious in the kitchen.
When they search the apartment, they find a knife block that is missing a couple of knives.
Investigators also collect Tina's phone as evidence. Other than that and the missing knives, the scene yields few clues.
This is when you gotta slow down and take all the evidence and start talking to people one-on-one.
Back at the station, detectives sit down with KC. He explains what led to his desperate 911 call.
Casey had got done with practice, and he and Tina had dinner plans. He sent a few text messages, and the response that he got just didn't sound like Tina.
I get a text back like I'm in the shower. I look at it and I'm just like, you know, I've been dating this girl for 3 years. It's not how she texts.
He stated that she was more emotional. She sent emojis, I love you, more lovely-dovey type stuff, to where this was more generic.
You know, I see you later, not the letter C, she's spelling it out. And this person's not texting like that. I was living with my fraternity brother, a great friend of mine, and I told him, man, I want to go over to Tina's place. I don't feel right about it, you know? And I go to her apartment complex, I touch the door handle, and I was like, you know, I knocked.
Shanterica answered the door.
I was like, is Tina here? She's like, no, I haven't seen her. No, she's not here, I haven't seen her. So I was like, all right.
KC tells investigators that he decided to check her room anyway.
So I walk down the hallway. In the very back room is Tina's room. The door's open, and the TV's on, but the lights are off. So I'm just like, I kind of look back, you know, and I don't hear anything. I don't look down. I don't look up. She's not on the bed. I just like, she's not in here. I just like, you know. So I walk back out, and I'm walking towards the door, and I'm like, you sure you haven't seen Tina? You know, she's like, her voice changes, like, no, I haven't seen her.
KC made note of something he hadn't seen before.
Shanterica, he noticed she had bags and stuff packed too, and about to go out the front door.
And something tells me, like, turn around. So I turn around, and I go back to her room, and this time I turn on the lights. That's when I see Tina laying flat. So the first thing I said, we joke a lot. You know, we play. So I was like, get up, stop playing. Then I see the blood. I rush to her, I turn her over, and I see the blood everywhere. And I'm just like, my mind's everywhere. I'm trying to talk to Tina, like, you know, hold on, fight, you know. Little to no response, but she still some life, you know. So I'm talking to her and call 911.
Shanterica heard him calling out.
She kind of had her head in the door and saying, it's not me, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. So she takes off. That's when I just kind of go after Shanterica. I don't want her to get away.
Responding officer came to the scene and saw him running after her.
Then I got downstairs, and that's when I was stopped.
You're really just left with a lot of questions. You know, what exactly happened? What was the cause of all this? What went down here in this apartment?
On the night of March 2nd, 2011, police in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, are investigating the fatal stabbing of 21-year-old Tina Stewart.
Her boyfriend, KC, is being questioned, and there's no reason to think that he might have done this. He's cleared pretty early on as a suspect.
KC tells investigators that he can't think of anyone who would want to harm Tina.
Like, I knew everything about this girl, Tina Stewart. You know, she told me everything. So it's like, nah, there was no other troubles going on.
Although KC does admit that tension between Tina and Shanterica was running high.
It was mostly about the cleanliness of, or the lack of, with Shanterica, leaving things around. You know, Tina was a very, you know, neat person. Then it was like taking things or touching things without permission as far as food, and she smelling the marijuana.
Shanterica started smoking weed in the apartment, regardless of whether Tina was there. And that was a big problem for Tina.
For Tina, since she's an athlete, she gets regular drug tests. And we learned that Shanterica is a casual marijuana user. Tina, you know, doesn't want this around her. She doesn't want to end up failing a drug test from secondhand smoke.
And she want to lose a scholarship, and she also want to be in good standing with her coach, because now, you know, if I'm a star player and I'm busted with marijuana, she might not play me, and there go my hopes and dreams.
She's just like, look, I'm not your mom, not your dad. You're in college, just don't do it in the house.
Investigators prepare to interview Shanterica. But first, they speak with an officer who says he paid a visit to the apartment just before the stabbing, at Tina's request.
He was a off-duty officer living at the apartment complex. We call him a courtesy officer. Your job is to answer any call at the complex. Loud party call, 3 in the morning, you go answer it. So he got a call from the office manager that there was somebody smoking marijuana at the apartment.
The courtesy officer made his way out there. Shanterica's asking, who called on me for this? How did you even find out about this? And Tina's coming out of her room saying, I'm the one who called.
He told Shanterica to toss out the weed, not to do that again. He didn't make a formal complaint. I think that he was just trying to calm the girls down.
Did tensions between the roommates rise even higher after Tina made the call? Investigators ask Shanterica.
I understand that apparently earlier this evening there was some sort of altercation between you and your roommate.
Shanterica says that shortly before 6 p.m., she was hanging out in the apartment with her friend Nene when the courtesy officer arrived.
I guess my roommate had called the front desk, and the front desk sent the police over. And I talked to him, and he was basically like, if he searched my room and he didn't find anything, then it'll be cleared. And if I told him the truth, so he searched, and he was like, well, you told the truth. And he said, but he's still gonna have to talk to the manager.
Already, investigators have caught Shanterica in a lie. They know that the courtesy officer found marijuana because they've already talked to him.
And after he left, I talked to Tina, which is my roommate. I talked to her. Then I knocked on her door and told her that I need to talk to her. And we talked. And it kind of got heated because we both kind of had attitude. And she kind of shoved me, and I kind of shoved her back. And then the next thing I know, we was fighting. She kind of just slammed my head, so she was pounding my head, and I was pounding her face. And just with my hand.
Okay.
And then she pushed me to the ground. When she had my head, she pushed me to the ground, so I was right on the ground. And I gathered her. And she was like, get out of my room, get out of my room. So I left.
According to Shanterica, Nene left the apartment soon after, and Tina was right behind her.
My roommate, she was doing something. I think she was putting on her shoes because I seen her kind of roam around moving, because there's no what she was doing. And she turned down her TV, and she put on her jacket, and she walked out the door.
Shanterica says she also left.
I walked all around the parking lot, kind of because I was trying to get out the nerves out of my system. And I didn't shut the door. I just kind of shut it. I didn't lock it. I didn't bring my keys with me.
And then she said on her way out, she did notice that there was a guy hanging after we dressed that she'd never seen the complex before.
She says there's a man with dreadlocks who was in the area, who was carrying a knife.
When she returned to the apartment a little while later, the front door was open.
The door was still, it was like, wasn't closed. I kind of shut it.
The front door?
I shut the door, and it wasn't closed. It was kind of like cracked, so I just thought she came back.
She says that Tina must have come back while she was gone, and this dreadlocked man must have attacked her.
He black, he got dreads, and he kind of tall, but everybody taller than me. But he got probably like 5'6". And this is the third time I've seen him over there.
Detectives don't buy it. This whole story seems made up and really unlikely.
Now, you're at a critical point right now, all right? You're at a fork in the road, okay? And I want to help you choose the right fork. Something bad happened tonight.
But Shanterica sticks to her story.
All I know, I did not kill Tina. Tina was perfectly fine when I left.
She is very, mechanical in her movements, the way she talks, the way she responded to detectives. During the whole interview process that night with police, she might as well have been a robot.
Investigators noticed something else about her behavior.
During her interview, the whole time she's kind of using a card and kind of picking the blood off the ends of her fingers.
The fight she described having with Tina wouldn't have left blood on her hands. So where did that blood come from?
The Infiniti QX60. Comfort redefined. Luxury rediscovered.
I'm Chef Andre Rush. I've seen action in Iraq. I've served 4 presidents. Now I'm taking on my toughest mission, rescuing America's failing restaurants.
Boot camp is about to begin. Do you want to cook or not? This guy has not taken any prisoners. Push it up!
How do you know when you give up?
I believe in you. I need you to believe in yourself.
Let's check out your new restaurant.
Did you hear about the plan from TV Wonderland? Sitcoms on the weekends with friends. Matter of fact, let me take you back how it started. She said she liked the Cosbys, but she's living single, but tonight she want a party. Let's have a good time. I'll show you a different world. Moving on up, you know I need a girl. Staying up late watching Sanford and Son. I'm coming, Elizabeth, for it's the big one. TV1, they always get it done. Hit it.
The new TV Wonderland. Fridays and Saturdays starting at 8 on TV1.
Hey, it's Chef Jannard here, and I'm about to take you on an incredible journey through the heart and soul of your favorite destination. I'm talking about Black culture, Black excellence, food, music, Black and brown people that look like me, doing it big. Woo! It's a journey through culture, one bite at a time. I'm about to give you the ultimate Black experience.
I love it. Savor the City, a new series coming in 2025 on TV1.
Hi, I'm Anthony Anderson, and I play an ad executive on my sitcom Blackish, so that means I know a thing or two about numbers. For instance, 8, that's the number of seasons Blackish entertained you. 175, that's the number of episodes we did. And 1, as in TV1. That's where you can now watch all the episodes of Blackish. Up top.
Yep.
I think that adds up to a good time.
Watch Blackish every Sunday through Friday, starting at 6 on TV1.
Hours after the death of Tina Stewart, Murfreesboro police interview her roommate, Shanterica Madden.
They noticed that she had been absent-mindedly picking dried blood from the tips of her fingers during the interview. They're gonna go hard on her now.
Listen to me, okay? Now, I'm gonna be straight with you, okay? And I've been doing this for a long time, okay? And you've got some marks on your face. I've been sitting here looking. It looks like your cheek might be a little bit swollen. I think what happened was you and Tina got to an argument, got to a physical fight that got a little out of hand. Another thing I find interesting is that you're right-handed and you got blood right here on the crook of your right hand.
She stuck to it for the longest, till she finally started breaking down slowly. And finally she said, well, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
When we talked about whatever it was, I turned around and was heading into my room, and I think I kind of bumped into her, and she was like, don't bump into me. And she shoved me, and I shoved her back.
The fighting escalated, and Shanterica knew she was outmatched.
She says that when she and Tina were fighting, she was scared because Tina was an athlete and much stronger than her.
I kept saying, that hurt, because my head started paining real bad. And she had a knife sitting, I think it was on the bed. So, I don't know what she was doing. She was cutting something. But she had a knife sitting in the bed, and I grabbed that knife after, because she still had my head down. She was pounding me on the head, and I grabbed the knife and just kind of went like this. Because she was coming towards me, I kind of went like this, and I just hit her and let it up, and she fell.
She does admit that she stabbed Tina, but says, of course, that it was in self-defense.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
And the problem with the whole thing is, why didn't you call the police at that time?
I had my phone in my hand. I was like, I need to call somebody. And I was gonna go call the police. I had my phone, but I couldn't find the number that I wanted to call.
Where's the knife at now?
I don't remember. I don't remember if I dropped it or if I took it outside when I went outside. I don't remember.
You remember, but we don't want it to be sitting out there in that field or something, and some kid get a hold of it or something like that.
I don't think so. Okay. I can't remember.
Investigators get word that officers back at the crime scene may have the answer.
A neighbor saw Shanterica around the dumpster just after this incident occurred. Police check it out. They do find a knife wrapped in a blanket that's covered with blood and is obviously their murder weapon.
This knife also matches a knife found in the apartment.
Investigators confront Shanterica with the new evidence.
They finally went to the dumpster and found the knife and the blanket. So now I got a piece of the evidence. And now I'm gonna tell Miss Madden, I have this.
Shanterica changes her story again.
She does admit that she basically just freaked out afterwards and decided to get rid of the knife in the dumpster.
She didn't call 911, but instead went to dispose of the knife. That puts another dent in her claim of self-defense because it looks like she was trying to hide what she'd done.
Meanwhile, news of Tina's death has brought the MTSU campus to its knees.
The Lady Raiders were well loved. This particular team was very well known because they were very talented and they were just very popular. This whole situation shocked everyone more than I think that anybody really understood.
Police hold a press conference to officially announce Tina's death. They also ask anyone with any information about the crime to call in.
At 6:20 p.m., Shanterica's friend, Renee Nene Reese, calls police.
Renee Reese tells police that she was there when the security officer came to the apartment and when Shanterica confronted Tina.
Renee Reese, friend to accused killer Shanterica Madden, tells investigators that she was in the apartment when an off-duty police officer was summoned by Shanterica's roommate, Tina.
And then as soon as he left, she said that Miss Madden immediately went to Tina's room, knocked on the door, and confronted her.
She says Shanterica was mad at Tina for calling the off-duty officer on her, and they started arguing, and it got heated quickly.
She said she went back into Miss Madden's room because they was arguing very loudly, and she wouldn't be a part of it, and she could hear banging and arguing.
Renee says she also heard someone saying, "She got a knife," and "Stop, my heart hurts," or "My heart is beating," something like that. At some point, things got quiet. Then Shanterica knocked on the bedroom door and Renee let her in. Shanterica said, "We have to go." Renee saw blood on Shanterica's arm, so she asked Shanterica what happened to Tina, and Shanterica said she left. Renee says she glanced towards Tina's room.
She did say that she could see Tina's leg hanging through the doorway. So she did see it, that she was down and injured, so she knew something was wrong.
Renee says she grabbed her purse and headed for the door.
In the living room, she said she saw Shanterica holding a blanket, stuffing it in a big, clear plastic bag. As she was leaving the apartment, she saw Shanterica drop the bag and a piece of knife fell on the floor. Renee says Shanterica tried to hand her the bag.
She asked her actually to throw it away for her. She said, "No, I'm not gonna do that."
Renee left. She tells police that she placed the first call to 911.
Okay. All right. What's your name?
I don't want to say my name. I don't feel comfortable saying my name.
Shanterica tried to get her friend to help her cover up the crime. She didn't call 911. This is not looking like self-defense.
They charged her with first-degree premeditated murder.
News of Shanterica's arrest is another blow to the stunned community.
When she was officially charged, I wouldn't say it was a sign of relief. I just wanted justice to be served, you know?
Tina was a superstar in Memphis. You know, everyone knew who she was.
Investigators focus on building their case.
They know from the start that she's going to show up to court claiming self-defense, so they need to be able to counter that.
Investigators discover a series of postings on Tina's social media from the day of her death.
Before the incident, Tina was on Twitter blasting Shanterica on social media, saying that she didn't care anymore, that she was over it. She was sick of the situation.
At 5:37 p.m., Tina tweeted, "I just called the police on my roommate. I feel like a snitch, but I don't like this."
You could see where she didn't really want to tell on her. But then again, she wanted a scholarship, so she was put in a hard place. So what do? You do what you need to do.
At 5:58 p.m., Tina tweeted, "Police is here." Then, a minute later, "This gonna be too hot." And finally, her last tweet at 6:01 p.m., "I hope he finds some, please, please."
Tina saw how much she had on the line. Shanterica had everything to lose as well if her parents found out that she was doing weed. So they both had a lot to lose. It was a fire waiting to be started, honestly. Like, it just needed the right match.
Investigators speak with Tina's friend, Scooter Macklin. She tells them she was on the phone with Tina when Shanterica came in to confront her.
She asked Tina why she didn't let her know what was going on, but Tina's response was, "I had already spoken to you earlier this week about this situation being a situation and that it couldn't be one. This is what happened, this is a result." And she left the room. Like, me and Tina started back talking on the phone. She left the room for like 45 seconds, maybe a minute, and then she came back.
Mr. was on the phone with Miss Backlund up to like 6:04 and the phone just connected.
And I'm calling back, but I didn't get a response. But by then, I got a text message that said, "Finna get in the shower, I'll call you right back."
By the time she gets that text, police think that Tina is bleeding out and Shanterica is trying to buy time by sending texts from her phone.
She did not try to help Tina. Instead, she tried to hide the truth about the situation.
On March 11th, 2011, 9 days after Tina Stewart was found dead, Shanterica is released on a $100,000 bond.
Shanterica didn't have any history of violence beforehand. She had never been arrested. She didn't have a juvie record.
I was the most disappointed about the fact that she was able to post bond. She posted bond and went to Memphis and went to the mall. My phone was going crazy again. Most people couldn't believe that she had the audacity to just be walking around in the world like that.
On May 9th, 2012, Shanterica Madden goes on trial for first-degree murder.
The courtroom stayed packed more than I'd ever seen it. Just overwhelming the number of people that came out to support Tina and her family. And Shanterica's family was there during the whole trial. Her mom and dad were right there in the front row behind the defense table the whole time.
Just as prosecutors anticipated, Shanterica pleads not guilty, claiming she acted in self-defense. She takes the stand to tell her version of events.
Tina confronted Shanterica and that Shanterica was acting in self-defense and that she just happened to see the knife that was in Tina's room on the bed and then grabbed the knife. The knife was already in Tina's room because Tina had been eating a snack or something and there was a knife on the bed, but it just happened to be there. And so she used that in self-defense in the heat of the moment.
Prosecutors argue that the forensic evidence tells a different story.
The blood spatter showed that Tina had been stabbed from behind initially, and then at some point had turned around and tried to defend herself. That aligns with what the coroner found during the autopsy.
You can see on her hands she was cut, and she was trying to defend herself from being attacked.
Tina was stabbed in her back, upper torso area at one point, so that doesn't lend itself to a self-defense argument.
They also argue that the knife wasn't on Tina's bed.
Nobody had ever seen Tina leave dirty dishes or food just sitting out on the bed. That was not her personality whatsoever. She was very clean, conscientious about being clean, and she usually didn't eat in her bedroom.
As soon as she went to grab the knife, she was formulating the plan, was their argument. That she had to make a willful decision to pick up the knife and to use it.
Shanterica did not immediately call 911. She did not try to help Tina. Instead, she immediately started trying to hide evidence, knowing full well that her roommate was bleeding to death on the other side of the wall.
On May 14th, the jury reaches a verdict.
The jury found her guilty of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. They concluded that, yes, she was guilty, but they couldn't definitively say she planned this murder.
Later at sentencing, Shanterica received 29 years in prison, 25 for the second-degree murder charge, and 4 years added onto that for the tampering with evidence charge.
29 years versus a person that's lost their life, it's not equal. It's not equal. You shouldn't be able to, she can come out and still be able to at least do something, experience something, whereas Tina can't.
I've been watching the March Madness in the Final Four. I could see my best friend being one of those coaches. You know, I could see my best friend standing out there clapping and supporting some girls and giving them an opportunity to shine and show who they are. And that's ultimately what I feel like was taken from the world.
It was sad to see a beautiful young, girl like that who had such a bright future, who overcame so much, who was the first person to go to college from her family, to die in college. That's not how it's supposed to go. That's not how the story is supposed to end. You know what I'm saying? That's just not how it's supposed to end.
Tulsa, and because it is such a growing city, the crime kind of grows with it.
The growing crime rate keeps the Tulsa Police Department busy.
Police were working on a case where a man named Carl Duke Harris had been shot in a gang-related incident.
We were investigating the shooting, and the victim at that time was not expected to live, had multiple gunshot wounds.
What police don't know is that they are about to get a phone call that will take this case in an even darker direction.
So the Tulsa Police Department receives a tip through Crime Stoppers that there was a possible murder that had occurred that the police department was unaware of.
The caller tells police that 23-year-old Courtney Palmer had been beaten to death in an apartment.
The name is familiar to police.
We have an active case going with Courtney Palmer.
Courtney was a witness to the shooting of Carl Harris. Police had been trying to contact him for a few days to give a statement.
Courtney Palmer had been involved in other crimes, but he was not known to be a violent criminal.
The caller tells police that not only was Courtney brutally beaten to death, it gets worse.
The caller says that Courtney's body was fed to pigs.
We've had at least one more victim that has allegedly been fed to the hogs in Muskogee, and that person has never been found. So that Crime Stoppers tips definitely has some legs to it. We take it seriously at that point.
Despite Courtney being a criminal and having a long rap sheet, most of the officers were fond of Courtney.
Courtney is kind of a mainstay. Even though he's 23 years old, I knew him when he was 8 or 9. He ran the streets and I was working patrol.
Unfortunately, when Courtney was a teenager, he kind of got involved with that street life.
Courtney got roped into the wrong crowd and made friends with members of the infamous Crips gang.
Despite his criminal involvement, Courtney was well loved. He was known as a jokester. He was known for his smile, that he can light up any room that he walked in. He can lift anybody's mood if they were feeling down.
He was gang related, but it was obvious to us that Courtney cared about his family. His family cared about Courtney.
Courtney was a father to 3 children. They were the #1 priority in his life.
Courtney was a family guy. He had 2 daughters and a son. He stayed actively involved in his children's lives. The children were by 2 different women. Even though the relationships didn't last, he still stayed engaged with his children.
Courtney had a big heart. He would do anything for anybody. Just a very generous person was the impression I got about Courtney.
Everybody kind of knew Courtney Palmer. Courtney has some issues, but he was always respectful.
So who would want to kill this young father? And why? Police asked the tipster for more details.
So the anonymous tipster alerts police that Courtney was killed because there were rumors on the street that he was involved in setting up Carl Duke Harris, who was shot.
Police knew Courtney was a witness to this shooting, but this was the first time they heard he may have actually been involved.
The tipster claims a woman named Charletha Mack lured Courtney to her house 2 days after Duke Harris's shooting. This isn't the first time police have heard the name Charletha Mack.
Allegedly, Courtney Palmer was at Charletha Mack's house up north. We know that house. There's other killers that have been in and around that house. So when that name comes up, it leads credence to the Crime Stoppers tip. It just starts steamrolling that. All indications is that Courtney is going to be dead.
Tulsa police officers know they need to speak with 39-year-old Charletha Mack as soon as possible. They obtain a search warrant and rush to Charlitha's home, hoping the tipster was wrong.
We go up and knock and announce at the door. I was the supervisor on that warrant, so I was outside the front door.
The door slowly opens, and Charlitha Mack appears.
Charlitha's demeanor at the time of the search warrant was initially defiant, that could not believe we were there. So what? Was what I remember her telling me. So what?
Charlitha claims she had no idea what happened to Courtney. She hasn't seen him in days.
Police execute the search warrant, looking for any signs of foul play.
The house is not in disarray to the point where you would expect if a murder had occurred, a beating like we heard. We don't find Courtney, we don't find evidence that Courtney has been killed.
But Sergeant Walker and his team don't give up that easily.
We had included our crime scene folks coming with us as part of the service of the search warrant. That doesn't always happen, but we knew we were going to need their expertise in luminoling.
With the help of the luminol, crime scene investigators are able to uncover evidence in the bathroom that was invisible to detectives' eyes.
The luminol that was in the bathroom reacted in several places. The bathtub, the bathroom sink. So that lets us know that it's not just somebody that nicked their finger and they let a little bit and they wiped it up. It kind of is reminiscent to a beating, and that's a key part into our investigation.
There's evidence that something extremely violent happened in that room.
This has started us to believe that we've got a murder and we've got people hiding it, so it's just going to be a matter of time.
November 17th, 2016. While investigating the shooting of Carl Duke Harris, police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, have received a tip that Duke's friend, 23-year-old Courtney Palmer, has been beaten to death and fed to pigs.
Many people believed that Courtney had been involved in setting up Duke when he got shot, but police did not believe that that occurred.
The tip has led them to the home of Charlitha Mack, where the tipster claims Courtney was killed. Though Charlitha contends she has no idea what happened to Courtney or where he is.
Her demeanor was one that we would expect of somebody that's been talked to by law enforcement before, used to getting her way.
However, there are clear signs of a violent altercation in Charlitha's bathroom.
This was not a lot of blood, but it was a significant amount to know that what our investigation was leading us to is true. Somebody got beaten in the bathtub, on the tile, and at the bathroom sink.
As CSI documents the findings, Charlitha Mack is taken back to the police station for an interview.
Charlitha, once she was in the interview room, finally decided that the truth was about the only thing that she could keep straight. Her lies were just not going to hold up. That's usually the case. So when she started telling us what happened, it fit absolutely with the investigation.
Police asked Charlitha about her relation to Courtney Palmer.
Charlitha tells police that Courtney often hung out at her house. He had a baby with her niece, and she considered him like a nephew.
Charlitha says on the night in question that there were two other people staying at her house, 39-year-old Gerald Lowe and his girlfriend.
Mack, when we interviewed her, only knew Gerald Lowe. She knew Gerald Lowe's girlfriend, but did not know her identity. And of course, when she lies about one thing, we're going to call a liar on that one too. But she was stuck with the not knowing.
Charlitha explains that Gerald, like many others in their circle, was angry about the shooting of their mutual friend, Carl Duke Harris.
Gerald believed the rumors that Courtney had something to do with Duke getting shot.
Charlitha says she doesn't think Courtney was involved, but Gerald was adamant that he was to blame.
Around 3 a.m., Courtney showed up to Charlitha's house.
She explains that Courtney just pops in, and that's totally understandable for Courtney's behavior. Courtney would show up when Courtney showed up, and he's obviously feeling a little bit triggered by the shooting of Duke, and he's talking to Mac about all that.
Charlitha tells police she had no idea the horrors that Gerald and his girlfriend had planned.
Gerald quickly got violent with Courtney. He was slapping him around, kind of pushing him around, trying to get some understanding of what happened and his involvement with Duke.
As Gerald was assaulting Courtney, he encouraged his girlfriend to get involved. Once she got involved, she took things to a whole new level.
The woman sat on Courtney's lap, straddles him, and takes out a pocket knife and slashes him on the cheek.
Charlitha says the couple used the knife to force Courtney into the bathroom, where things got even worse. Charlitha says Courtney was telling them he had nothing to do with the shooting, but they wouldn't relent. She says she was in a state of shock, too terrified of Gerald and his girlfriend to intervene.
She could hear them beating him for several hours.
She gave gruesome details as what was going on, and she allowed that to happen. I mean, it is her house. At any point, she could have called 911. It's hard to feel sorry for Mac at that point.
She confirms that Gerald's girlfriend left the residence at one point, went to the convenience store down the road to get bags of ice. When the girlfriend arrived back at the residence, Gerald forced Courtney into the bathtub where it was filled with cold water and ice, and Courtney was forced to remain in the bathtub.
They then poured boiling hot water on Courtney as well.
Finally, with a rush of adrenaline, Courtney leaps out of the bathtub and tries to fight for his life. The tussle progresses into the hallway.
When Courtney started fighting back, Gerald grabbed him and began strangling him, at which time the girlfriend began to kick Courtney in the face and chest.
So at some point, Courtney stopped moving, he stopped breathing, and it was at that point Courtney was dead.
Charlitha says that she was petrified. She watched as Gerald and his girlfriend grabbed blankets to wrap Courtney's body and loaded it into a plastic tub.
They took it out to Gerald's white pickup truck.
Gerald and his girlfriend then drive away.
Police asked Charlitha where the couple went. Was Courtney actually fed to pigs, like the Crime Stoppers tipster reported?
As for what happened with the body after that, Charlitha said Gerald told her that he got rid of the body in a rural area outside the city.
With only one name to go on for now, detectives put out an APB for their new prime suspect, Gerald Lowe, and his white pickup truck.
Gerald had a long rap sheet, which included multiple drug charges, as well as multiple offenses of assault and battery.
But who is his girlfriend and alleged co-conspirator? Detectives are about to get one step closer to finding that out.
She's walking through the store like she doesn't have a care in the world.
There's no doubt this is their girl.
Of course, all murders are tragic, but boy, the way it happened, who it happened to, is kind of tragic. Courtney Palmer is one that sticks out. You just have to say that name and we know what you're talking about. A lot of us knew Courtney Palmer from when he was a little child. Courtney was respectful to law enforcement. I mean, he was doing illegal things, but he wasn't doing them to us. So that hurts us just a little bit.
In November of 2016, detectives investigating Courtney Palmer's disappearance and possible murder have just gotten a lead on two suspects: 39-year-old Gerald Lowe and his unidentified girlfriend.
Gerald has a long history with the law, but law enforcement are still trying to figure out who his girlfriend is and where they are now.
A witness to the crime, Charlitha Mack, has told police the gruesome details that she claims led to Courtney's demise. But one detail in particular piques detectives' interest.
During Mac's interview, when she finally decided to tell us what happened inside the house, she said at some point the girlfriend went to the Quick Trip to get some ice. And that really is a key piece because at the Quick Trip they're going to have a video surveillance.
Detectives let Charlitha go, for now, and retrieve the convenience store surveillance footage from the night of November 16th.
As they're viewing the footage from the surveillance, they see a white pickup truck pull into the lot in front of the convenience store. The same vehicle that Gerald has been known to drive.
The suspect is wearing a distinctive hooded sweatshirt with Cal written on it. You know, and we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Not that Cal is unusual, but it's not prevalent in a Big 12 state, you know, so we're not going to see a Pac-10 state come in.
The surveillance video shows the woman casually walking through the store, purchasing snacks along with 4 bags of ice. She makes the purchase and then leaves the store.
Detectives conclude this must be Gerald's mystery girlfriend, but they still don't know her name.
Once we get Lowe identified from the interviews and the information and all the surveillance video that we're gathering from the Quick Trip, everybody gets sent this information with those pictures on it. So maybe somebody knows that and will eventually call us and give us some information.
Not long after releasing the still photographs to the media, police get a tip. But it's not on the girlfriend. It's about Gerald.
The tipster says he has seen Gerald Lowe at Monica Scott's apartment. Monica just happens to be Courtney Palmer's ex-girlfriend.
Could Monica be Gerald's co-conspirator? Perhaps she started a relationship with Gerald after ending things with Courtney.
Detectives head to her apartment in hopes of getting to Gerald Lowe before he makes a run for it.
That information led us to the search warrant of Monica Scott's apartment. We knocked on the door. She answered the door.
When detectives arrive at Monica's apartment, they find her, but there is no sign of Gerald Lowe.
It's also clear Monica isn't the woman from the convenience store video.
We had talked to her, told her why we were there, and she was very cooperative at that point.
Detectives show Monica the images of the woman from the surveillance footage, and she is able to identify her right away.
Monica immediately identifies the woman as 25-year-old Michaela Riddle.
Michaela Riddle had kind of a rough life. She didn't have a very good upbringing. I think she had been abused in different ways. So she didn't have a very good life.
Michaela had difficulty holding down a steady job. That meant she had to couch surf from friend to friend's house to keep a roof over her head.
What Michaela really longed for was a man to help take care of her.
Then she met Gerald Lowe. Although he was a decade older, he was handsome and charming and had a smooth demeanor.
Unlike Michaela, Gerald had a decent upbringing, but he chose to rebel and live a life of crime.
Gerald Lowe, he was a very polite, very respectful young man. He used to do construction work and carpentry work, and that's how I knew him. And so I don't know that he had such a difficult background where he couldn't have done something different with his life.
Gerald was connected to the local chapter of the Crips, and he had a lengthy criminal record. But he kept Michaela safe. He made her feel comforted and protected.
The two quickly became inseparable. Gerald didn't have a home of his own, but Michaela didn't mind. She was used to the couch surfing lifestyle.
Michaela's hope was that they'd be able to lift each other up and forge a happier future together.
Even though they didn't have a house of their own, as long as they had each other, they were home.
According to Monica, Gerald and Michaela had been living with her, but she said she had not seen them in a few days.
They absconded kind of like, gypsies would do.
Monica tells police she and Courtney had a fight and broke up a few days before he disappeared. But when she heard he was missing, she was distraught.
Monica tried to reach out to him via phone, but she wasn't able to get in contact with him. She believed something terrible had happened to Courtney, and she started crying.
Michaela was at the house at the time and asked why she was upset. She admitted she was crying over Courtney.
Instead of comforting her friend, Michaela says something that chills Monica to the bone.
That's when Michaela responded, "Oh, you're never gonna see him again."
When Monica asked what she meant by that, Michaela said, "This is about to be some First 48 stuff."
So that was a clear indication to Monica that her ex-boyfriend, Courtney, had been murdered.
Monica admits that she should have called the police right then and there, but she was scared and confused. She was hoping that Courtney would just come back home and everything would be back to normal.
Detectives ask Monica if she can give them any information that will help track down these potential killers.
Monica confirms to police that Gerald and Michaela do drive a white pickup truck, but she has no idea where they are now.
Then, Monica supplies them with one invaluable piece of information: Michaela's phone number.
Riddle's phone number, that's a key piece of evidence. And any murder investigation, if we can get that phone number, then we can start doing work on that.
This is like gold for detectives. With this, they can track Michaela's general location.
Police are one step closer to getting justice for Courtney Palmer. Now, it's only a matter of time.
So they know that apprehending Gerald and Michaela is going to be the key to solving this case.
Of 2016, Tulsa police finally have a name for the female co-conspirator in the alleged murder of 23-year-old Courtney Palmer.
Police now believe that Gerald Lowe and Michaela Riddle are responsible for what happened to Courtney, but they still haven't found them or Courtney's body.
Now that they have Michaela's phone number, detectives hope it can lead them to where she and Gerald are hiding out.
Once Monica Scott was able to give us Michaela Riddle's phone number, we were able to get the GPS phone logs from the phone company, and then that gave us an area of town where there's several apartment complexes.
Let's determine that the best course of action is for the police to just kind of slowly patrol these different apartment complexes and hotels in the hopes that they would be able to find this white pickup truck in one of the parking lots.
On December 4th, 2016, police finally find what they're looking for.
We located the white pickup, backed in, and then from there we were able to get that locked down, surrounded, surveillance set up on it. We were not going to lose the truck. Our intel person was able to locate and determine that Gerald Lowe's uncle stayed in an apartment right there where that truck was located. And then the investigation really starts to focus in on that particular area. We spend a number of hours surveillance on the truck, and then we decide to go up and knock on the door and get after Michaela Riddle and Gerald Lowe. It's kind of the most dangerous part of our investigation up to this point, because we're going to go and get two killers out of an apartment.
Prepared for the worst, police make their way to the apartment door.
We don't know what to expect. The most dangerous part was the actual confronting of Lowe and Riddle. And we decided to go in and pop the door open.
With tensions high, police enter the apartment. To their surprise, it appears empty.
Then we search an apartment for killers.
Realizing all hope is lost, Gerald Lowe comes out with his hands up.
We make voice contact with Lowe and we get him out, and Riddle is subsequently also found inside the apartment.
But Michaela is not going down without a fight.
Mostly I remember from them was Riddle's demeanor. She was just hateful and mean, and if she could hurt you, she would. So we had to be on our game to make sure we took her into custody without anybody else getting hurt or her getting hurt also. Lowe, on the other hand, was more agreeable. I think he realized that he was just going to take his chances explaining circumstances as opposed to fighting us at the apartment. Once they're in custody, it's kind of a sigh of relief.
Gerald and Michaela are placed in the squad cars while detectives scour the apartment for evidence.
It's obvious they were kind of couch surfing because their clothes were just there. They weren't hanging in the closet, so they weren't going to have a residence there. So it allows us to search a limited area, and then we're able to find the Cal sweatshirt, which is key to Riddle's involvement in this case.
Satisfied with the evidence collected, authorities take the couple back to the station for questioning. Up first in the hot seat is Gerald Lowe.
Detective White goes in there and explains why he's here. He kind of understands that, yeah, we're there for a reason. He knows what he did, but he still is in denial.
When confronted with Charletha Mack's statement about his and Michaela's involvement in Courtney's brutal murder, Gerald shuts down.
Obviously, he has the right to remain silent. He imparts that right to an attorney, and once that happens, we're kind of done. So we leave the room.
Hands tied with Gerald, detectives hope his girlfriend will be more helpful.
She's as hateful in the interrogation room as she was in the apartment. Not cooperative. She's telling us that we should all have that information. And of course we did. But usually what we want to do is start a conversation and gather some type of rapport with her. But she was unrapportable, if that's even a word.
Michaela plays dumb. She denies knowing Courtney Palmer, Charletha Mack, and Monica Scott. The only person she claims to know besides Gerald is Carl Duke Harris, the man many believed Courtney set up to be shot.
I do remember her making some comment throughout this case that Harris was her cousin, so there's family blood, if you can believe her.
Detectives try hitting her with the hard evidence.
When shown the still photographs from the surveillance video, she denies being the person in the video.
She was not going to have any of it from us, and basically the interview was shut down, mainly because it was obvious that she wasn't going to give us anything. She wasn't going to cooperate.
She demands to be taken to her cell so that she can go to sleep.
With neither suspect cooperating, it's more important than ever that investigators find Courtney's body if they hope to get convictions.
Detectives are afraid that they may not ever be able to find the body of Courtney Palmer.
But before long, they'll get another tip that could help them do just that.
The caller says that Courtney's body was fed to pigs.
The scene was horrendous.
It was just awful, the disregard that was shown for the young man.
December 2016. Police in Tulsa, Oklahoma finally have their prime suspects in custody for the tragic disappearance and alleged murder of 23-year-old Courtney Palmer.
Investigators believe Gerald Lowe and Michaela Riddle tortured Courtney for hours and ultimately strangled him to death.
Obviously, after the arrest, we still have to locate Courtney's body. We want to put Courtney out there on the media. Here are the people that are involved. We show the truck, we show Lowe, we show Riddle.
And it doesn't take long for another tip to come in.
The next day, we get a phone call from Muskogee. So it all starts to roll downhill at that point in locating Courtney.
According to the tipster, Gerald had been seen living in an abandoned farmhouse miles away in Summit, Oklahoma.
Apparently this area used to be a pig farm, or somebody raised pigs there before. It was just kind of a desolate country area. There was a neighbor who lived next door who knew Mr. Lowe, who had said he had seen him there around the time these events were happening.
They head out to Summit in search of Courtney's remains, or the pigs who ate them.
We're able to locate the house that the caller called in after viewing our media presentation and search the premises.
Inside the dark, abandoned home, investigators scour for any sign of Courtney or evidence that might connect their perps to the scene.
They actually find a vacuum erection device and a sock. They know they can test these for DNA and hopefully tie Gerald and Michaela back to the scene.
Unfortunately, they don't find any other evidence, such as the pocket knife used against Courtney. They don't find the plastic tub that the couple supposedly used to transport the body.
In the backyard, investigators don't find any pigs, but they do find something very disturbing.
In a fire pit was the remnants of a human body.
The body was found just burned in a heap on a mattress, I believe.
The body there that was burned in the fire pit is unrecognizable to us. It's obviously a human skull. You can see that. So we know we have a body, but we know who we're looking for. At that point, I think we were confident that that's going to be Courtney's body.
The remains are sent to the lab for DNA testing. And it is confirmed that they are, in fact, Courtney Palmer's.
We were able to make notification to Courtney's family at that time. Every time we tell a family their loved one is dead, and it doesn't matter if it's a Courtney Palmer with a rap sheet or somebody that is 18 years old that doesn't have a rap sheet, the reaction is the same. The family cries, and they should, and it hurts. And that takes a little piece of us too.
Lab DNA results also come back on the sock and the vacuum erection device found inside the abandoned home. It's a match to Gerald Lowe and Michaela Riddle.
Michaela and Gerald were charged originally with assault with intent to kill because we didn't have the body, obviously. Once Courtney's body was discovered in Muskogee, we upgraded the charge to first-degree murder.
Charlitha Mack is also charged with accessory to murder.
Mack was charged with accessory to a felony, and that's, obviously because it was her house. She didn't call, she didn't intervene.
As investigators build their case for trial, they begin piecing together what led up to Courtney Palmer's gruesome homicide.
It all started on November 8th, 2016, when Carl Duke Harris was shot in an apartment complex.
Duke was Michaela's cousin. She, Duke, and Gerald were really close.
From what investigators can gather, Courtney was the one that dropped Duke off at the apartment. So that's where the rumors about Courtney being behind Duke's shooting started. Michaela and Gerald had bought into the rumors, hook, line, and sinker.
Gerald was used to meeting violence with violence.
Michaela did not have a violent criminal background like Gerald. She had never been involved in anything like this. But she trusted her man, and she agreed to go with the plan.
Michaela loved Gerald so much, she was willing to do whatever he wanted.
On the night of November 10th, Gerald and Michaela went to Charlitha Mack's house and waited for Courtney to show up.
Around 3 a.m., Courtney arrived. He was talking to Charlitha when Gerald and Michaela attacked, attempting to get him to admit to setting up Duke.
They tortured and beat him to death after he refused to admit that he was involved in the shooting of Duke Harris.
Once Courtney was dead, they loaded his body in a plastic tub and drove it out to the old farmhouse where Gerald sometimes stayed.
Investigators believe the first thing they did when they arrived was have sex on a mattress in the abandoned house.
They then went outside and set Courtney's body on fire along with the mattress they just used.
Soon, police will learn that this crime was even more senseless than they could have imagined.
Turns out, Duke Harris is alive. He survived the shooting, and he is adamant Courtney had nothing to do with setting him up.
Michaela and Gerald had done all this to Courtney for nothing.
I think the main thing about this case that stood out to me was it was so heinous. I don't want to make murder sound like it's run-of-the-mill, but this wasn't a run-of-the-mill murder. I mean, the parties involved in this case went to great lengths to torture Courtney, to dispose of his body in a disrespectful way, but the torture of it, I think, was very disturbing to me. You didn't normally see crimes committed in this horrific of a manner in the Black community.
Investigators in Tulsa, Oklahoma, are building their case against suspects Gerald Blow and Michaela Riddle. The couple is accused of torturing 23-year-old Courtney Palmer to death over an unsupported rumor.
So the rumor is that Courtney set up Carl Duke Harris to be shot on November 8th. But police have not been able to substantiate the claim that Courtney was behind it. All Courtney did was drop Duke off at the apartment where he was shot.
And soon, investigators receive stunning news that proves Courtney's murder was just as senseless as they thought.
Carl Harris did recover from the gunshot wounds. Whether it's a full recovery, I'm sure you shot 6 or 7 times. You're going to feel it for the rest of your life. But as far as I know, he's up and mobile.
With Carl Duke Harris healed enough to speak, detectives are able to ask him about the night he was shot.
Duke says he doesn't know who the shooter was, but is 100% certain that Courtney did not set him up.
Courtney was innocent all along.
You know, it was really unfortunate. His life would be cut short over a rumor. There was no evidence or proof that he was involved in the shooting of Duke.
Prosecutors make a deal with Charletha Mack. In exchange for 2 years in prison and 18 years on parole, she agrees to testify against Gerald and Michaela in court.
And she pleads guilty to her accessory charge.
From everything that came a lot with Lowe and Riddle, this was not going to end well for them.
In December 2019, faced with the death penalty, Gerald Blow pleads guilty to all the charges against him. Kidnapping, first-degree murder, committing a gang-related offense, and desecration of a human corpse. He is sentenced to life in prison plus 5 years.
In Gerald Lowe's case, I was the sole fact finder and sentencing authority, if you will. He didn't have the benefit of a jury. As a judge, I weigh all the facts and what his role was in the event, and in my opinion, I gave him the sentence that I thought he deserved.
In early 2020, Michaela Riddle decides to take her chances at trial.
With regard to Michaela, I think the defense strategy was to hone in on how horrible her life had been and how she would do anything to keep the love of Gerald Lowe.
Luckily for Michaela, the jury is convinced.
When the case goes to jury, they agree that Gerald was the mastermind behind the murder and that Michaela took part in the horrific crime to make him happy.
Michaela's charges are reduced to second-degree murder, kidnapping, and desecration of a corpse. She is sentenced to 49 years in prison.
The big difference between what Miss Riddle got and what Mr. Lowe got was she went to a jury trial and she had 12 people deciding her fate. He had me.
Do I think that justice was served? Looking back at it, knowing that Michaela got 49 years, I would have liked to have seen life without parole.
Michaela will forever have to live with the guilt of taking a young father away from his family for something he didn't even do.
She was only involved in this kind of activity because she wanted to hang on to somebody who she thought loved her.